Okay, once again, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the video I released last week. It's a 50-minute pitch for a Beast Wars episode that never existed. I think it's one of the most interesting and best things I've ever made. YouTube absolutely smothered it in the cradle though. So if you like what I do here, or you like the Building a Better Siege or Earthrise videos I made, it's a lot like those. Please take a look, give it a like and a comment. I'm trying my hardest not to just let it die an ignoble death for no reason, but I don't want to dwell on this for too long. Let's hurry up and get to the video that you are here to see, because I think it's actually extremely important to review this as soon as possible. It's Age of the Prime's Solus Prime. But first, your likes. Please give and maybe subscribe. Remember my video about Legacy Vector Prime? Yeah, this sucks like that. I don't normally talk about a figure I get on Twitter until after I review it, but I needed to vent. The first time I tried to transform this, the rotating door on her shoulder armor popped off, then the shoulder armor popped off, then her whole shoulder popped off, then I put that back on and the shoulder popped off again, then the grill popped off, then the wrist door popped off, then the foot popped off 4 separate times. I actually ran out of characters on Twitter to write all that, so I had to leave a lot of it out. This isn't held together with Spit and Hope. This is held together with the half-exercised, murdered ghost of Spit and the vague memory of Hope after a lifetime of misery. And based on conversations I've had with just about everyone, it seems to be a near universal problem with this figure. Everyone's copy sucks. Some are better than others, but they still suck. Some are worse than others. Mine is up there, but I've heard of worse. And the weirdest part about this whole figure is that this thing falls to pieces if you even think about it. Like seriously, I am barely putting any pressure into my pinky and I can knock the foot off like it's nothing. But it has relatively tight joints everywhere. It's not like this thing is a loose floppy mess. If you put it in a pose, it will stay there just fine and it will hold up to even some pretty serious shaking. But you touch it at all and stuff just starts flying off of it like it's a negatively charged magnet. How do you make a figure with pretty good joints that explodes like Waspinator in a fireworks factory? I'm not even going to waste your time making you wait till the end of the video. If you are looking at buying this anywhere near April 2025, don't. Wait for a second run, and hopefully they will do it a lot better. The first run is shit, and it's not really this figure's fault. It's a good design. It's not without its flaws, but were it not for the absolutely horrendous QC on these initial copies, I would be telling you to probably feel free to get one. But the calamitous QC 100% negates any of the positive things I have to say about this. Now, to future-proof, let's review this thing like there aren't these horrible QC problems, so that way, if at some point they release a not trash, unworthy to wipe your asshole with version of this thing, you will have an idea of what you're getting into. The sculpt is pretty good, though there are a few things that I don't care for. For one, her stupid little genie shoes. I'd call them elf shoes, but they have more of an Arabian Nights thing going for me. I really wish they'd clip these tips. 2, I hate to bring this up, but her boobs are just so weird. They don't look like a part of her chest, they just look like a weird decoration she's got glued on. And it's like, guys, if it looks this bad, you know you could have just not done them at all, right? Like she's the Forge Master. She's wearing armor. She is covered up by armor. You don't need to make the boob plate because of some neurotic need to prove to us that she's a girl when it's this hideous. Also, she's a robot. They are not 100% vital to a robot. Like, here's a picture of G1 Moonracer. Does she have individual tits? No, because she wasn't designed by a horny freak who didn't care how bad they looked so long as they were there at all. In short, they didn't have to be here. It's creepy that they were slapped on here after the fact, but if they are here, then why the fuck did you make them hideous? And then I hate the hair on the back of her head. I hate it. Cybertronians should not have hair. They should not have beards. They should not have mustaches. They should not have cables that look like hair. They should not have it. It's fucking stupid. They're robots. They don't need their heads kept warm in the winter. They fucking live in space without an atmosphere. They can't get cold. Yes, I know in Transformers Prime, Optimus and Arcee almost died in the Arctic. That's fucking stupid. They fought the cons in the vacuum of space in the first episode where it's a lot fucking colder than the Arctic. I hate Cybertronian hair. I hate it so much. Anyways, those are all subjective issues, though I would say that the chest is a combination of a subjective issue and just truly awful sculpt work. But otherwise, this is a pretty cool robot design. It has very knightly vibes with the tabard and the Frieza Core pauldrons, and while I'm not a huge fan of the backpack just being the skinned hood of the car, it's at least pretty clean and flat. Plus, this is both a reasonable size for a deluxe, especially when you know that they like to make the girls seriously undersized, and there's actually a ton of paint here, which, you know me, I don't care about the paint. But it is them actually spending budget on this thing. The biceps and fists are gray plastic, but the rest of the silver on this figure is all paint, and it's just got a ton of accents. She manages to look quite regal and has a very distinct aesthetic when it comes to the normal fare we expect from Cybertronians. She does manage to give off this kind of Greek god-like vibe. The head is an intricate design, but that face is a little rough. For starters, I'm not sure if she's supposed to have lines coming out of the sides of her mouth, or if that's just bad sculpt work / a manufacturing error, and she has the worst kind of Cybertronian lips, the ones that just kind of happen. There's nothing about the face that leads to them, it's just like they glued on a pair of wax lips that they spray painted silver. Her nose is also just dagger thin, and a problem I'm having is that there is not much to compare this design to. Like, they've clearly based it on this design, which is just like infinitely cooler, but you can see where all the elements came from. They were just done better there, except for the head, which seems to be doing its completely own thing. I think it's partially based off the Transformers 1 version, but this is still distinctly not faithful to that either. It's mostly doing its own thing, and it's mostly kind of doing a bad job of it. Because even if it weren't for the face sculpt being so botched, the helmet is definitely lacking in contrast. If they had just cast the thighs out of the gray plastic instead of painting the whole thing's silver for no reason, they could have spared a little bit of budget to pick out more elements on this head. I don't know if I can call this a bad sculpt, because from a distance, it is hard to notice a lot of these. You really have to get up on it like I am right now for it to be a problem. And it is doing a lot that's interesting, but this is a head that could be doing a whole lot better. And a lot of my problems with this figure so far are purely subjective. I personally don't like the shoes, I personally don't like the hair, and I personally find that the chest is creepy. Though again, it is creepy and badly done. Now for accessories. She has her hammer, and this I can say is very well done. It comes in 3 parts, so she can hold it just fine, and I think that the bottom part is supposed to be used as a cannon's muzzle brake, so that's added functionality in the alt mode. The head of the hammer is painted extremely well for an accessory, and it's a good size. Though, obviously, it's still a bit huge for a real blacksmith, but that's not a problem with this figure, just the character overall. And she's making really big stuff, so maybe a sledge is fine. This is one of the better handled accessories I've ever handled, and Solus needs her hammer, so honestly I'd say that yes, this is in fact the rare accessory that helps sell the figure. As for articulation, this is great. Head has a good bit more up than normal, and a little bit of down. Normal 90 shoulders, forwards butterflies, normal 90 elbows, wrist swib, and narcissa wrists, meaning that they work perfectly as sword-wielding wrists. Hips are unimpeded in all directions, and the tabard splits into 3 parts, so it's never in the way. Normal 90 knees that you can fake for a maximum. And feet with a huge pivot and 2 different kinds of toe down. This is well articulated, and again, it's so weird to me that she stands so well and holds a pose with no problems, yet it falls apart at a moment's notice. But she can do most of what you want, and has exceptionally good articulation for someone who wields a melee weapon, given her hands and forwards butterflies. Now transformation, were it not for the constantly falling apart she does, would still not be great. In fact, no matter what, this would be a pretty bad one. The backpack has like no clearance. It works as it needs to, but it's still annoying. Into vehicle mode, the hips aren't that bad to deal with, but going into robot mode, they are a huge pain. The forearms barely peg into the sides of the alt mode, but the creme de la crap is the feet. Oh, here comes the anti-fun. They're just so hard to peg in the places that they're supposed to go, and it's such a confusing orientation you need to put them in. The way that they constantly want to fall off also makes this all the more miserable. For some reason, they want you to flip the center of the tabard around, and I have no idea why you do that because it looks way better than normal way. And then you peg the accessory on wherever you want, and personally I favor on the top like a cannon turret. And you're done. This is okay, but it has problems. There's something very Art Deco here. It feels like a 1920s APC or like a police party wagon, or maybe just a different version of the Batmobile from the animated series. It's a cool, though semi-incomplete look. The back bottom third of the alt mode is very clearly just the thighs sticking out from the sides, and the whole thing flexes around because nothing about this is pegged in adequately. This is the only place where the arms peg into the alt mode, the legs literally don't peg in anywhere, the tabard doesn't peg in, this is mostly just a robot doing yoga, and it's a good version of that, but that is what it is. And every time you touch this, you are made eminently aware of that by feel alone, as this thing squishes and bends in your hands. I'd say that this is a cool look, but one that is much like the rest of the figure. Very flawed. And I would say that I really like the way this alt mode looks. Rolls great too, so that's at least something. Again, if it weren't for the absolutely dogshit QC, I'd probably tell you to pick this up. I think the concept art is cooler, but this is still cool. Though in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that the head is kind of bad. And there are visual issues I take with this thing in general, but those are for the most part a me thing. And even still, I think that this mostly is pretty cool. The articulation is well above the average for a deluxe. It has like no issues standing, and it can get some great poses. Plus, the accessory is pretty awesome, honestly. Lastly, the alt mode is enjoyable even with its issues, but even on a good copy of the figure, the transformation wouldn't be much fun. But the QC murders my ability to recommend this thing until that gets fixed. Even if they were just my copy, QC this bad should never have been allowed to leave any Hasbro factories, and yet I've heard of worse. And this is a persistent issue that I hear with most copies of the figure. Wait for a second run, hope that it's better than this bullshit, and if it is, then I say go for it. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. And this time it's Certified Deary with YOLO Park Knight Optimus Prime. And look, the nice things I can say about this are that it's accurate, and the bad things I can say about this are that it's accurate. I just can't with Muscle Suit Optimus Prime, and I don't know what more I could really say about this particular figure. Like, it looks like my most hated design for Optimus, and it doesn't transform. I assume it poses well, and I'm glad that you like it, but like, this may be the single figure on Earth that was designed by NASA to interest me the least. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.